the murmur of people assembling, the clang of a bell, the pensive melody of a Mozart adagio, halting words of prayer. A centering prayer on the 15th anniversary of a day when we lost our center. We remember that day, 9/11/2001. Wherever we were, we remember that day as the edge of a profound fold in time. Before 9/11, after 9/11. We remember shock, disbelief, horror, fear, anger, despair, powerlessness, incomprehension. We remember feeling alone, small, vulnerable. We remember coming together to connect with those we loved, with those in our congregation, with those in our neighborhood and community, with those in our nation, with mourners around the world. Now, 15 years later, knowing that 9/11 was both unique and merely another human manifestation of violence visited on people by others filled with hatred, we try once again to find halting words of prayer. O God, Spirit of hope that persists through our bleakest days, be present with us here now as we seek a way to continue our journey from solitary grief and sadness to the sure knowledge that we are never abandoned in our grief, but are always connected, always called, encouraged, and empowered by you to be there for one another. Always inspired and guided by your Spirit that animates the chalice of love burning in our hearts, and the chalice of love and solidarity burning in our midst as we gather to remember, to worship, to reaffirm how, despite all appearances to the contrary notwithstanding, the way leads on. 15 years after the beginning of this journey that we never wanted to begin, be with us here. Be with us now. Be with us always. So may it be. Shalom. Blessed be, insha'Allah. Aho Shanti. Amen.
I want to I am a World Trade Center tower. Standing tall in the clear blue sky, I feel a violent blow in my side, and I am a towering inferno of pain and suffering imploding upon myself and collapsing to the ground. May I rest in peace.
I am a terrified passenger on a hijacked airplane, not knowing where we are going or that I am riding on fuel tanks that will be instruments of death. And I am a worker arriving at my office, not knowing that in a moment my future will be obliterated. May I rest in peace.
I am a pigeon in the plaza between the two towers, eating crumbs from someone's basket when fire rains down on me from the skies. I am a bed of flowers, admired daily by thousands of tourists now buried under 5 stories of rubble. May I rest in peace.
I am a firefighter, sent into dark corridors of smoke and debris on a mission of mercy, only to have it collapse around me. And I am a rescue worker risking my life to save lives who is very aware that I may not make it out alive. May I rest in peace.
I'm a survivor who has fled down the stairs and out of the building to safety, who knows that nothing will ever be the same in my soul again. And I am a nurse in a hospital, waiting for hundreds of patients who will never come. May I know peace.
I'm a tourist in Times Square, looking up at the giant TV screens thinking that I'm seeing a disaster movie. And I'm a New York woman sending emails to friends and to family, letting them know that I am safe. May I know peace.
I am a piece of paper that was on someone's desk this morning and is now debris scattered by the winds across lower Manhattan. And I am a stone in the graveyard at Trinity Church covered with soot from the buildings that once stood proudly above me. Death meeting death. May I rest in peace.
I'm a dog sniffing in the rubble for signs of life, doing my best to be of service. And I'm a blood donor, waiting in line to make a simple but very needed contribution for the victims. May I know peace.
I'm a resident in an apartment in downtown New York who's been forced to evacuate my home. And I am a resident in an apartment uptown who's walked 100 blocks home in a stream of other refugees covered in ash. May I know peace.
I am a family member who has just learned that someone I love has died. And I am a pastor who must comfort somebody who has suffered a heartbreaking loss. May I know peace.
I am a loyal American who feels violated and vows to stand behind the military action it takes to wipe terrorists off the face of the earth. And I am a loyal American who feels violated and worries that people who look and sound like me are going to be blamed for all this tragedy. May I know peace.
I am a frightened city dweller who wonders whether I'll ever feel safe in a skyscraper again. And I'm a pilot who wonders whether there will ever be a way to make the skies truly safe. May I know peace.
I am the owner of a small store with 5 employees that has been put out of business by this tragedy. And I am an executive in a multinational corporation who's concerned about the cost of doing business in a terrorized world. May I know peace.
I am a visitor to New York City who purchases postcards of the World Trade Center Twin Towers that are no more. And I'm a television reporter trying to put into words the terrible things that I've seen. May I know peace.
I am a boy in New Jersey waiting for a father who will never come home. And I am a boy in a faraway country rejoicing in the streets of my village because someone has hurt the hated Americans. May I know peace.
I am a general talking into the microphones about how we must stop the terrorist cowards who have perpetrated this heinous crime. And I'm an intelligence officer trying to discern how such a thing could have happened on American soil. And I'm a city official trying to find ways to alleviate the suffering of my people. May I know peace.
I am a terrorist whose hatred for America knows no limit, and I am willing to die to prove it. And I am a terrorist sympathizer standing with all of the enemies of American capitalism and imperialism. And I am a master strategist for a terrorist group who planned this abomination. My heart is not yet capable of openness, tolerance, and loving. May I know peace.
I am a citizen of the world, glued to my television set, fighting back my rage and my despair. And I am a person of faith struggling to forgive the unforgivable, praying for the consolation of those who have lost loved ones, calling on the merciful beneficence of God, of Allah, of some spirit, some higher power. May I know peace.
I am a child of God who believes that we are all children of God and we are all part of each other. May we all know peace. No one can tell you how to feel or what to feel about September 11th, 2001, or the world that has unfolded as a result of that day. I wasn't here in New York. I lived in the Maryland suburbs of Washington, D.C. My experience is not of the towers, but of the plane that hit the Pentagon. My experience is of the plane that crashed in Pennsylvania that people believe was meant for the White House or the Capitol. My experience is of a city not devastated by such a tragedy that changed the landscape, but of a city locked down in terror for quite some time. No one can tell you how to pray about that day. The overwhelming, uncontrollable avalanche of emotions that are part of the experience of September 11th, 2001, they remain with us in so many ways unresolved and perhaps unresolvable. For 15 years, we have now been at war. War hot and war cold. Battles where soldiers kill and die, and battles within ourselves, inside ourselves. In so many ways, we are still struggling to move beyond the fear and confusion of that tragic day when the sun shone so brightly, so beautiful was the sky that rained down such unimaginable destruction. On that day, as a nation, we began to develop a new vocabulary for fear. Fear of the other, fear of those around us, fear for our loved ones, fear for our very place as a nation in the world. Fear that all that we know and think of as good might vanish from the earth. For many, the sense of safety and a feeling of comfort taken for granted vanished almost completely in an instant on that one day. The world was redefined as a valley of the shadow of death, and we were surrounded by enemies. In the words of the poet Marianne Moore, what is our innocence? What is our guilt? All are naked and none is safe. Yes, many are still in pain and loss and fear and rage and unknowing. And we are with them, and we are them. We offer prayers not to resolve things, but to make a space and a time to sit with our thoughts, with our feelings, with our fears and our sorrows, a place to find hope. We offer prayers for lost and angry souls, souls that are our own. We offer prayers for those who died and were injured, and for their families and friends who must bear the unbearable grief and pain of their loss. We offer prayers for the first responders who continue to suffer in body and spirit. All are naked and none is safe. We offer prayers for those consumed by hate. We offer prayers for those whose dreams were lost. We offer prayers for those who feel themselves incapable of knowing hope again. We offer prayers for those who must be fearful because they are Muslim. We offer prayers for those incapable of seeing the humanity in each of us. In our prayers, we ask for relief from our fear, our constantly rattled nerves. We offer ourselves to be opened to love once again, to move past our feelings of unease every time there's a report on the news, for the way we now look at the front page of the paper and wonder what is going to be next. We offer prayers for our weariness, the weariness that moves us away from the work of justice and peace. We offer prayers to free us from anger, from rage, from helplessness. We offer prayers to let us see how our pain is connected to the pain of all other human beings. I remember how, in the days immediately after 9/11, there was a moment when it seemed that we were joined with all the other peoples of the world in tears, in weeping and mourning, and in commitment that this would never happen to anyone else again. It has happened to other people and other places again. I offer prayers for those who have experienced what we experienced again. September 11th, 2001 was both the worst thing that ever happened to anyone, anytime, anywhere, and one of so very many horrible events that mark the evil the human mind can conjure and the evil the human heart must endure. Many horrors have flowed from that day. A river of blood has flown from that day. A rush of refugees and displaced people flows now, in some ways connected to that day. All are naked and none is safe unless we join in prayer with all that is holy for the healing of this world. We have no other home. We are part of no other people. May we know this to be true and live accordingly. So may it be. Amen.
The journeys of our lives are never fully charted. There come to each of us deserts to cross, barren stretches, where the green edge of the horizon may be our destination, or an oasis on our way, or a mirage that beckons only to leave us lost. When fear grips the heart, or despair bows the head, may we bend as heart and head lead us down to touch the ground beneath our feet. May we scoop some sand into our hands, pick up a small stone, receive what they would teach us. They hold the warmth of the sun when the sun has left our sight, and hold the cool of the night when the stars have faded. Hidden among the grains of sand are tiny seeds, at rest and waiting, dormant yet undefeated. Desert flowers. They endure, moistened by our tears and by the rains which come to end even the longest drought. They send down roots and they bloom, a balm for our troubled souls. May we believe in these seeds, in the seeds within each one of us, May we remember in our dry seasons that we, too, are desert flowers. So may it be. Shalom. Amen.
A cairn, a pile of stones, is a simple symbol, but like this day, can hold so many different meanings to so many different people. In some places and times, a cairn can mark a grave, can be a memorial, and in some places and times, it can mark a trail forward. When you're hiking on the mountaintop and you cross above the tree line where the trail can be hard to find, there's often a pile of stones showing the way forward. We built this cairn on the altar this morning out of stones from the same quarry that provided the stones for the original World Trade Center site and the reconstruction. Their distribution center is just down the road in Port Washington. In a few moments, we'll play some music. And I invite each of you to come up and take a stone from the pile. And we won't tell you what it means. It may be a memorial. It may be the way forward. But like this day, it will mean something.
I invite you to join with me in our responsive reading. It's number 670 in our hymnal. There is an insert in your order of service which has a small typo in it. Friend, I have lost the way. Is there another way? I must retrace the track. Back, I must travel back. Then I'll make here my place. Stand still and set my face. Stay here, forever stay. I cannot find the way. Oh, the places I've passed. And what will come at last. We join in singing the hymn, There is a Balm in Gilead, in our Teal hymnal, number 1045. Blythe will begin for us and lead us in singing that hymn and invite us then to join her.
I didn't know them, the people who died there, or the people who came to their rescue and who died there, the thousands on thousands of them. I knew them not at all. but I counted them. They were of my city. We were to have moved through life, through the generations. The rhythms of their speech were my rhythms. The figures of speech, the attitudes, the postures, the moods were my figures of speech, my attitudes, my postures, my moods. It would have been in our natures to call on one another by our first names, to speak of where we grew up, of what we did for a living. And we might have made our private judgments of one another. We might have pointed out differences in age, in education, in background. But we were of the same cloth. In our numbers, we provided the urgent life of the city for each one of us. We had an understanding, you see. We would appear on the edges of each other's consciousness, in one another's sight lines, on any given day, passing in the street, riding on the subway, shopping for our families, going to the ball game, waiting on the same street corners for the light to change, heading home to the joy of our children. In all our generations, all of us doing the same things in our different ways, mirroring one another's daily lives as we flowed through the streets or rode under them, always intent on our business within the dimensions of our city. We were joined too by the belief that underneath all our flaws and weaknesses, our angers and stupidities, was a bedrock human decency. We understood that we may only grudgingly accept one another, but in this city, there are no infidels, no Philistines, no eternally damned, and that none of us is so presumptive to claim so. Some of us may even have seen the possibility of God's blessing in our lives, but for all of us, our relationship to God is finally a private affair, our own business, no one else's. That's the way that we lived and will continue to live in the necessary humility of the secular state. Killer, when in your malignity and in the evil illusion of your righteousness you did this hideous, damned thing, our thousands of dead were transfigured. In their names and their numbers, they stand now for our democracy. This country and its institutions are a work in progress. Our story has just begun. Our raucous and corruptible political system lumbers on towards a true and universal justice. There's no limit to the variable genius of human character, the full expression of human capacity. So that even as we mourn today those who we have lost, we know that in some sense they are our endowment, that the multiplicity of their voices and ours assure the creation of a reality that inches forward over generations to an enlightened relationship among human beings and a dream of truth.
our time in remembrance and meditation comes to an end, and we prepare to extinguish our chalice. The way leads on into this day and into tomorrows, the events of which we cannot begin to imagine. While we faithfully hold out hope that they will be days filled with ease, filled with routine events, the likes of which we take for granted. Days of peace, days of joy. We know from our living that there are sure to be days of trial and anxiety and fear and sorrow that is so big. On those days, may we find just what we need to hold tenaciously on to hope and to push fear out of our hearts. May there be words of prayer and meditation to shore us up. And when words fail, may there be music. When music cannot reach us, may silence hold us. When the silence is empty and lonely, may we be assured of the presence of the Most High. And when the Most High feels far, far away, may we feel securely, firmly, lovingly held in the arms of the human family. So may it be, and amen.